sometimes expanded them to go up to 40 minutes.
Very well. So they use that term.
All of those things in education, of course, those things are important.
Oxygen is going to our heads and our lungs.
The affirmations in the mirror for about 2 minutes.
This is amazing.
And doing new things for our brain.
Normal, in a sense, with all of the changes.
Which parts of the brain are used?
Based on that map that we have.
See you with your smiling.
Atul, thank you very much for allowing me to join you. Namaste to you, my friends.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning into our Early Childhood Global Spotlight Show. I'm your host Atul Tyagi from India. I'm also a co-founder of a preschool chain in the name of Wow Kids, having more than 150 centers across 20 states in our country. I thank you everyone for joining us. I can see we already have some people tuning in, and if you're just new here, we do these live streams every single week on Fridays, 9 p.m. my time, which is Indian Standard Time, and 10:30 a.m. CST, which is US. The point of these shows are to spotlight a specific member in the Early Childhood Global Mastermind community. So whether you are a storyteller, early years consultant, a freelancer, child psychiatrist, or doing something unique for early childhood community, this show is your opportunity to share your knowledge and inspire others. And I'm today really excited with the guest that we have today, Dr. Kathleen Friend from Arizona, US. Hi, Dr. Kathleen, how are you?
Hi, good morning, good evening. I just love that we can connect across the globe so easily now.
Yes. So I would start with a brief introduction of Dr. Kathleen. Dr. Friend trained in adult and for the older people in psychiatry with residency and fellowship training at Cornell University Medical School in New York. She has 25 years of experience post-residency in psychiatry, including work in outpatient hospital, community mental health, and nursing home settings. Since 2016, she has focused on children and families. Her approach is highly individualized. Her goal has been to ideally prevent mental illness for small children at a very early age, possibly including pre and postnatal period. She focuses not only on children but also parents to create harmonious and thriving families. She is a physician, mother, musician, and now a children's author of the book, The Greatness Chair. She not only practices the Greatness Chair with the children who come to her office, but also wanted children across the globe to get benefited. So she wrote this book, The Greatness Chair, to spread her work on positivity and helping children to see who they are and who they can become on a wider scale. Let's again welcome Dr. Kathleen on our Spotlight Show. Welcome, Dr. Kathleen.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and you really covered a lot of territory of what I do.
It's a privilege. I think you're the first doctor to be coming on our show, and we're very excited. I can see so many people already logged in to hear from you and to get benefit from your experience that you have. So Dr. Kathleen, tell us about yourself. And also, I asked you a very secret question, which you told that nobody has ever asked you, that how a book, Mysticism of Sound and Music by Hazrat Inayat Khan, has changed your life. So over to you, Dr. Kathleen.
Atul, I was so warmed by the fact that you asked me that question. So Atul did a good job of telling you a lot about me, but just very briefly, I am a child. I've done a lot of psychiatry for all ages, but at this point I'm working exclusively with children and families. And I'm also a meditation teacher for a school called I Am Heart Institute for Applied Meditation, which works with the heart, specifically with the heart. And I'm also an advanced trainer for something called the Nurtured Heart Approach. I think deep down I wanted to be a cardiologist, but I found my way to how do we bring the emotional and spiritual heart into our work. And I would say at this point in my life, I feel that that's actually happening. And it really started with that. In many ways, it started with that book. I am a musician and I'm a singer. And I was I don't want to take too long on this story. You guys want to hear about what else, not just about me, but
no, please carry on. It would be very exciting for viewers. Tell us about that book.
You know, I share this because, we all have moments in our life where something sparks us and we need to pay attention, to that. And it can change our lives, in a moment. So I was singing in a group and the conductor said, if you're a musician, you have to read this book, Mysticism of Sound by Hazrat Inayat Khan. So I immediately put it in my Amazon cart, bought it. And the book sat on my books on the side of my bed for literally 4 years. I tried to read it and I thought, I don't know what this book is about. Eventually, I started reading the book and I understood what the guy was talking about. And he was a musician and a Sufi master. But he wrote this book, and it's all about how to see life through the lens of music. And he eventually came to the West. He was one of the first Sufis to come to the West. And he said, he initially thought he would come to bring his music. And honestly, people in the United States in the 1910s or 20s, they didn't understand his music. So he gave it up and he said, I'm going to tune souls. My work is now to tune souls instead of tuning my instrument. But what I learned from this book, many things, but what I learned was this idea of harmony and rhythm is so fundamental. And this idea that he brings of the right note at the right time. And I know a little bit about Indian classical music to know that that's in there because there's different ragas that are done only in the morning and the evening. And so these are concepts that he was very familiar. But if we move out of just the music, try to bring the music ideas into our life, there is a time and a place for everything. So our children, I'll get into this later, but our children are showing us all sorts of things. And we often think they're problems, but yet it's possible that that very thing that we're seeing is just coming at the wrong time, but it's something we have to call out in our children and help them apply it when it's the right time and the right place for that very quality that we think is a problem. Anyway, we'll get into that more. Yeah.
All right, great. So before we move ahead, Dr. Kathleen, I'll just like to take a moment to say hi to my friends who've logged in. Rosemary Makwana Pinto, hi ma'am, Preeti, Sana. Then we have Marian Herman, who is our moderator, and she's from Florida. Marian is also from Florida. I would introduce you to her separately. She's interested to talk, and she just wrote out that I need this book. So you'll have to get on. She's very much interested to get this book. You have it. Oh wow, wonderful. So you have it with you. Amazing.
There we go.
So Dr. Kathleen, we'll move ahead with my first question, and the question that everybody is interested to know, that what is child psychiatrist, and how is it? How is a psychiatrist different from other professionals?
Mm-hmm.
And or my question would be that when does somebody or some parent need to consult a psychiatrist for his child or his family? So what are the kind of clients that you have? What is the role? So in brief, if you can tell our viewers. Yes.
Yeah, this is a good question because this gets confusing. A child psychiatrist is a person who's first of all, gone through medical school. So they're MDs and they go through all medical training. And then after the general medical training, go through a residency in both adult psychiatry first, and then you do a specialty in child. So it's medically based, but a child psychiatrist learns all about how to use medications, but also therapy, child development, play therapy. Unfortunately, at least in the United States, child psychiatry has become very focused on medication. So usually families come when they think their child needs medication. And a good child psychiatrist will really assess that situation and let the family know whether medication seems like the right thing or not.
Right.
So we don't jump prematurely to that solution.
So generally, what are the kind of parents who would come for consultancy, who would come for taking your advice? What are those kind of issues that they face? If you can just give us a brief idea, what are they related to children, or it's just generally family problems? How is it?
Yeah. Okay. I was going to gear this to just early childhood, but just generally speaking, when it comes in the early childhood group, say before 5 or 6, the most common reason that people come is that the child is delayed developmentally, often in speech or connection, and they're wondering about autism. So that's a very common concern in the early years because there are usually not always, but usually there are developmental delays that the pediatrician is worried about, and then we'll send for an autism evaluation. Other problems that parents will come with in this early age, sometimes around sleep issues, which is a problem of rhythm. This goes back to music. It's establishing, children have to establish a rhythm in their bodies. We don't come like completely in tune and in rhythm. And it's the parent's job to help the child establish rhythms in the body. So sleep is one of those issues.
Okay.
And the other thing I see is children who are just very emotionally dysregulated. Their tantrums seem to be too intense, too long. They're just throwing things, they're screaming, and the parents are very distressed. And they're worried. Okay. They often come and they're worried that what will happen to my child later if we don't do something now.
All right. Okay. So you have found a novel way to do your work with parents, and it led you to writing several children books to help them. Tell us a little more about how you came to write the Greatness Chair, this book.
Yeah. So like most doctors, parents come and they want to tell me about the child's problems. That's normal. They're coming because they have a problem. But I found that the children did not want to come. I mean, who wants to come and sit in a room when your parents are just going to say everything that's going wrong and what's bad about you, So the kids just hated being there, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So one day I said, okay, the next person who came in, I said, we're not doing this. I said to the child, come over here and sit next to me, in the chair next to my desk. And I said, how did you know you sat in my greatness chair? And the
wow, that's a brilliant way, actually.
They were confused. They were like, what? This just looks like an ordinary chair. And it was just an ordinary chair. And I said, oh, yeah, but it's about the child sitting in the chair. That's the greatness. Tell me about yours. And so then the parents would suddenly light up, like they knew something different was happening. And the child would sometimes tell me things, and sometimes they would be confused and would have no idea what to say. And then I would just use that as an opportunity to say something like, well, I can see you're having trouble answering my question, but I see the greatness you have in actually trying really hard. And, you're not giving up and you're being quiet and you're trying to figure it out. So I would hijack the moment to show how easy it was to find greatness everywhere in anything. And then the parents would get excited and they would start wanting to jump in and tell me all the good things about their kid. And what that did, Atul, is it would just change the atmosphere in the room. It was like, that music, like I just played a different type of music in the room, all right? And everybody felt better about being there. And then, of course, we would have to talk about whatever problem it was that the family came with. But then everybody was relaxed talking about it. And there didn't seem to be as much shame. And parents got this. It was easy. So I wrote the book as a way of giving them something that they could see it working in a child's life and practice at home.
Amazing. So some more people have joined. We have Claire Devlin from Ireland. She's also joined. Hi, Claire. Again, hi, Sana. Then wow, Kids Panjim, Preeti. Hello, everyone, for joining the show. Dr. Kathleen, one question that I had is that how can this book that you've written benefit, children and their families? Do you want me to play the video and you can explain that, or how is it?
Yeah, let me just say one or two sentences and we'll just play the video.
Sure.
And I want, so the whole idea of this book is to demonstrate how you can take what looks like a problem and see what's going right in that moment, or see a quality. And the whole idea here is that we want to learn how to reflect back to the child who they are, who they really are. So I just want to acknowledge the person. You're going to see a video of a friend of mine, Dorothy Creswell, who has a children's show in Massachusetts called The Curious Giraffe Show. And she read the book on her show. And this is a little clip.
All right, we go ahead and play it.
Avi finally said, "No, and you're being mean." And so his father said, "Sit in the timeout chair." And he sat in the chair, but very quickly fell asleep. And in his dream, he dreamed of a very special chair in the woods. And as he got closer, he saw that there was a special person, and her name was Zoe, and her eyes twinkled, and she welcomed him and said he was just in time. And he said, "What? I'm never on time." And she said, "You're in time to sit in the greatness chair, but the chair isn't great all by itself. You're the one who makes it great by the greatness of you." He said, "What? I can't think of anything great about me. I had a really, really bad day." And when she heard about his day, she said, "Oh, but you have the energy. You have good energy. When you know that you need to move fast, you do it." And then he said about how he had been in trouble for running, and she said, "Oh, but you have the greatness of enthusiasm and energy." And then he said how he didn't want to get up when the alarm went off, and she said, "But that's your body telling you were tired, so you have good self-care, paying attention to your body." And he said, "What?" Zoe turned everything he said upside down. Or maybe was she turning things right side up? So he liked this game, and he suddenly got into it. And he said, "When I play my sister's game, even though I don't want to, that's me being kind." She said, "Yes." And he said, "Even though I was sad on the bus, I turned it around and had a good time bouncing. So I have the greatness of having fun. She said, yes, you're getting it. And he said, I didn't yell at Dad at first, so I was using some self-control. She said, yes. And Avi felt his greatness growing.
Okay, so it's a very positive way to make the child realize that these are their own emotions and it is absolutely okay to have those kind of emotions. It's absolutely okay if you have done this. So, I think that this is what I've understood. So to realize what is happening, it's very, very important for the doctor or the parent to make them realize what is happening, understand and accept it, and then take the next steps. I think that is what I understood from this small 2-minute clipping. We have Prerna Richards also joining us today from the US, and she says, love this book. What is the title? So, Prerna, the title of this book is The Greatness Chair. It's by Dr. Kathleen Friend, who is live with us on this show right now. Okay, so yes, we have other people. Preeti says that yes, this is amazing how she helped change the perception and the thoughts. Amazing. Yes, doctor, over to you. So what is the teacher, this book actually trying to tell the children or the parent according, just a little more brief about this.
Okay, so this actually is part of something called the nurtured heart approach, which actually has 3 stands. And I'm really highlighting one of the stands, which is this very intense way of looking at what's going right and trying to develop vocabulary to call these things out. We have very rich vocabulary and intensity and energy for when things are going wrong. We can talk for when our kids do something we don't want, we can go on, and we're not short on words, and we give lectures and get on the soapbox, and we all do it. Our brains are primed to do this, to look what's going wrong. I mean, it's not our fault. So we have to make a little extra effort to turn this corner. And I have to do it myself. And I try to practice it myself. And it takes a little effort, but it feels so good when you do it. But as part of
this is a very, very different way. I never thought that a child psychiatrist would do something so different, that call child and do a reading book and try to explain them that, so that the whole, I will say, the feeling itself of going to a doctor for any kind of medication is very negative, for the parent as well as the child. They only feel that, okay, that I'm unwell, and the doctor might even put an injection, might even give some doses or some those capsules and tablets which may not be nice to eat. So that is the general perception that children have. And so this is a very, very different way that you have, I think, you have been using by this book, and trying to explain things in a very, very pre-planned way. So this I believe it's a very, very pre-planned way. Yeah.
So, yeah, and so here's the thing. Just generally speaking, a lot of these children who end up in my office and in your homes and our world, they have this intensity, and oftentimes the more intense the child is, the more likely they are to land in my office. Now, I just want everybody for a moment to realize or think or just consider. I invite you to consider that intensity is life force. I'm going to say it again. That intensity is life force.
Okay.
We don't really want to lose that life force. Yes, we want to direct it. There are rules. We do need to clarify our values in our family and where the line is. That's very important. I can talk more about, but my method is not like anything goes and everything's positive. It's hardball with love because you have to understand when how you want to direct your energy and where you want to give it. But medication, unfortunately, sometimes it's needed, but unfortunately it can take the light out and the intensity down because we don't know how to deal well with it. But we need it. Our children need it. We need it. The world needs it. We as adults and parents and teachers need to get comfortable in our own skins to direct that energy for the good.
Yes, that's absolutely, I think, a very bang on kind of sentence that you said, that you need to direct your energy as a parent consciously into one particular direction. And especially when you know that you are growing through that situation, especially when you know that you are going to, then every time you get up in the morning, if and the whole thing I believe is that yes, definitely, if there are those challenges in families and children, you need an advice, you need a way forward, and that is where your role comes as a doctor. No, I think that's amazing. That's amazing. So, doctor, you wrote a second book called Sarah in the Greatness Chair. Can you tell us a little bit more? How is it different from this book that you've written?
Yes.
So,
well, the first obvious difference I want to point out is it's a girl. My publisher told me a book with a girl character would not sell as well as a boy character. That has turned out to be true. So I challenge all of you to get Sarah. So it's a girl, and she's a girl of color. I don't know why I did that. It was a little before Black Lives Matter, but like most creative people, I kind of have a muse and I get downloads, and that's how it came through. So this little girl is a girl of color, and it takes place in a school setting. So I was hoping to appeal to teachers. And in this book, it's different because there's something called the Sarah technique. To call out greatness. It gives a different, more specific way to call out greatness, and it's based on her name. And she discovers that in the book. She discovers that her name is a way to call out greatness. So an S is I see blah, blah, blah. A is, and what I appreciate about that is blah, blah, blah. R is that reveals da, da, da. And the A is you are the greatness of whatever. And then you breathe it into H is heart. You breathe that. You want, when you give these reflections back to children about their greatness, you don't want it to be this empty words. You don't no BS that we would say in our country. It's got to be real, true, and you want it to land in the child's heart. You will know when it lands because the child will go, oh. And sometimes a child can't even take it in at the beginning. Don't worry about that. Just keep doing it anyway, because eventually it'll land.
So Prerna says, yes, we do need great books for girls who are unique and beautiful in their own way. So I think you've already done that. Then we have Sangeeta. She says, this is amazing. All right, doctor. So one, important thing that we wanted from you are, what are the 3 top strategies that you would suggest to parents of young children to help them, in problems related to discipline? See, this is one of the key, I will say, area of focus that even educators and parents would have, that how to discipline children. Anything, any 3 strategies that you can just advise our viewers today?
Yeah, the 3 strategies all tied together. All right, so kind of, and they come in an order. The first strategy, and this is probably the hardest, is it's for the parent or the teacher. It's for the adult. It has nothing to do with the child. The adult must reset themselves. They must be calm um, they must be settled in their own nervous system. There's a lot of words for this, but you've got to be settled first. Okay, so that's number one. You might have to take a time out, yourself, just very briefly to do that. And honestly, that is the first step. If nothing else, you do not want to give your life force and your life energy to what is going wrong. Oh, what? Okay, just hear me out. Ideally, you want to unplug when things are going wrong, just briefly. And you have to reset yourself to do that. You might have to even say reset or pause to yourself. You might even have to count to 10, shut the door, go in the bathroom, but come back right away. So the first strategy is reset for the parent or for the adult. Number two is after you've got yourself reset and not responding, you don't want to give your energy to what's going wrong. However, that's not the same as ignoring. You don't want to ignore a child. Children go crazy when you ignore them. They'll just get more upset. We all do. Nobody wants to be ignored. You want to literally stay poised, like you're almost like a cheetah or something, just poised, waiting. You're waiting for your child to do something right or just not breaking the rule. Like it could be, let's say the child is screaming or whatever. You reset yourself and you wait. Even if it's a baby step, like the child just stops for a minute to take a breath, so they stop the stream of yelling. You're right there, like right at that moment. Oh, wow, you showed self-control. You stopped yelling briefly. You look for any way to come in when it's going right or the rule isn't being broken. And so the third thing is that a family or teacher, you've got to be really clear inside about the values of your values. What do we want in our family or our school? What do we believe in? What are our values? And that helps you determine the line of when the child's crossed the line for no,
right,
energize it versus yes, this is what we're going to energize. You have to have that line.
I think very, very clearly you've explained that these are the things that a parent or an educator. So what do you think? This is out of the questions that we discussed. That where is that line? That line that you're talking about. What should be that line? Should the parent give up to tantrums? What is the age group till the time we should let go, ignore, or pamper our children?
I think this is very individual in a family. I mean, let's say a tantrum. Let's talk about tantrums. Basically, a tantrum is when a child's overwhelmed. They don't have any other way to express themselves. Their systems are overloaded, and they have a tantrum. Children in the first 5 or 6 years don't have the kind of reasoning capacity that we develop over time, and it's hard for them to stop. Some children are better at this than others, but for some children, once you flip the switch, it's really hard for them to get back into rhythm or regulation in their nervous system. So that is why it is so important at any age for the parent. The parent is the one who is co-regulating the child's nervous system. So again, we go back to the first step. Parent, reset. Take a few deep breaths into your heart before you do anything, no matter what the age, and help. So you're staying calm in a tantrum will help the child start to calm. And it may be that the child can't calm right away, but you don't want to give a lot of energy to that. Any movement that you see in the direction of calming down, you say, oh, I see you're having a hard time calming down. I get that. But you just say it kind of unemotionally. I can see that. But I also see, you could be throwing things and all you're doing is yelling. You're yelling, but you could be doing much worse, but you're not. You're only yelling. And that shows a kind of self-control. And I see now you're listening to my words. So that's a further, you're starting to it's happening organically in the moment. And every family has to come to grips with this. Where is the line? What do we believe in? What do we want to see? Not only what do we want to see in our children, but also how do we take the special gifts that each of our children bring and kind of harmonize that with what our values and what we believe.
Yes. So we have few more people who have joined in. We had Enrique Hank Feldman. You know Enrique, Kathleen?
Oh, hi.
Okay.
Enrique. Hi.
Yes. So Enrique says, "Great job, Kathleen." And I didn't knew that you both know each other. Okay. Enrique was there on one of our shows, and I'm sure he's going to come back again with us. So we have more people who have joined. Tom Story, Parminder Munde, then our teacher Tareen Gupta, then we have Sushma Bajwa, we have Holly Elisa Bruno, then Helen, then we have Edita Pekulska from Poland, then Fatima Sheikh, then we have Nagora Banu. Yes, so there are so many people who joined and have been listening to us, Kathleen. We move on to our next question, which is very, very nice question. How can parents put joy and fun in parenting?
Okay.
That is something that I wanted to know, basically. So, yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
What is the advice you give to parents? You know, especially the parents who are both working. You know, they get very little time for themselves as well as their children. So, what is the way? You know, and for everyone, especially related to children who are toddlers. I will say 1 year to say 3 to 4 years, 5 years, whatever that category is. So that how can parents put joy and fun into parenting?
I guarantee you. I mean, I don't know how many people are in the chat. If there are parents in the chat right now, I would just like you to very quickly in the chat put down 1 or 2 words. Think of one of your children or one of your students, and think of some words of greatness, and just put it in the chat and see how you feel after you do that.
Can you come again? Kathleen, I just missed that. So you.
Yeah, if there are people listening, if they want to experience a little joy, think of a child, your own child, a grandchild, a student, and I want you to think about one person and try to think about some qualities of greatness of that child you're thinking of, and just write it in the chat. See if we can get that, and then after you do that, see how you feel inside. See if you feel a little uplift or joy to do that.
So we're still waiting for people to write. So Prerna Richards write her curiosity. So she writes her curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a granddaughter whom she is homeschooling these days. So she writes that her curiosity makes her feel very happy and joyful.
So let me change the question. For the people who are live and chat, write down some greatness about yourself. Think for a moment. You just don't think too hard about it. Don't worry about being, just go for it and see how you feel. It's an uplifting feeling to shift that energy. Let your heart speak. What's your greatness?
Yes. So my word of greatness for my children will be kind and laughter. So.
And when you think
about Sangeeta writes her compassion. So her child, is very compassionate. So she writes her compassion. Prerna writes being tenacious.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I will just put those comments for you to see. So
now I can.
Prerna. Now this is Sangeeta. This is Preeti.
Kind laughter. Laughter is a great one.
Okay. And
Pure
this is again Prerna.
Yeah. So even, you know, as I listen to those words, I can't see any of you. I don't know where you live. But even as I feel those words that you're describing, it makes me happy. So this shift and this joy that you can feel. When I did this simple thing in my office of allowing the parents just to reflect for a moment about the greatness qualities in their child, they would smile, their eyes would sparkle. I don't know if they were feeling full joy, but they looked a lot happier than when they first walked in. And it like unleashes something in us. And, you know, we still have to deal with reality and all this other stuff. You know, this isn't, but we want to learn how to tap into that stream of what's already perfect the way it is. You know, there's a great phrase. I just want to share this. Everything is perfect as it is, but can always be improved.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is what, if we can settle a little bit by breathing into our own hearts to see the perfection that's right in front of us, yes, it can be improved. I work hard every day to improve everything I do and myself. I mean, it's an endless job, but I don't want to miss. I wouldn't want to miss everything that's going right now. And I want to call, I mean, I could sit here and call Atul out on a lot of greatness that I see, and he'll feel joy. And that is, you know, what a pioneer and visionary to bring this across the globe. And the fact that on my interview, he took this extra step and he wanted to ask me about a book that I read, and he did his homework. And that just shows how deep he goes with the guests on his show and how deeply he wants to understand people in a full way.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and you know that's what my calling is. That's what I believe, that I want to really meet and talk to people like you and several others. Thank you so much. So, Kathleen, where can they contact you, you know, or buy this book? You know, anybody who's watching our show or who will be watching our show, how can they get in touch with you in case they want to get in touch with you, and how can they buy your book? I think you have a website where I will just read out. It is www.greatnesschair.com. Your book is available on Kindle or paperback through Amazon. There are other US outlets like Barnes and Nobles. Google the book title for more information. This is what I think you've given me. I think this is enough. If they want to contact you, you have a very good, simple website where you have information about yourself, and that is where I got to know a lot of information about Dr. Friend, which is her website, www.greatnesschair.com. All right, Dr. Kathleen, it's been 45 minutes talking to you. I didn't realize that it's been the time for our show. We usually do the show for 40 minutes and we can go on and on, knowing a little more about what you know, child psychiatrist does, how they can help. And we are very, very happy and excited to have you today telling about your book and your very different way of helping children and families through your book, The Greatness Chair. I thank you very much, and I also hope this discussion has been beneficial for our viewers who have been watching. Thank you so much. I also thank all our viewers on Facebook for taking their precious time out to watch this show live. May you all have a great day and happy weekend. Stay safe until we meet again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Kathleen.
Goodbye.